My ex-husband and I got divorced 7 years ago. We share custody of our young teen daughter. He got married and has a preschool-age daughter with his now wife. His daughter would spend time with my daughter regularly. They adore each other, but she doesn't come to my house and they rarely meet up there. His wife has been diagnosed with cancer and has started treatment recently. The other day he came to drop our daughter off and asked to speak to me. He talked about his wife's circumstances and how his family won't be able to have a Christmas celebration this year. He said it wasn't fair for his daughter and asked if I could include her in my family's celebration. He pointed out how the girls would have a great time together bonding and making memories, but I said I was sorry, but my family's traditional celebration is a sacred thing and I don't feel comfortable including anyone else. Plus, it'd be awkward having her in my home. He said that his daughter might not be family to me, but she sure is to her half-sister. He asked me to stop and think about what's best for the kids here. I suggested he take his daughter to spend Christmas with her grandparents. He said they are no contact, and tried to cut the conversation short. Still, he stopped me and started talking about how cruel it was for me to decline to include his daughter, who's already struggling to adjust. I saw he was beginning to cry, so I stepped back and said I was no longer comfortable having this conversation. I asked him to leave, and he did, but still texted me asking me to agree to let his daughter come spend Christmas. He even offered that he stays away if that'll make me less uncomfortable. I said no, and now he's calling me selfish and unfeeling. A point worth mentioning here is that my family is going to attend, and they said they too will not feel comfortable in this situation. Thus, I said it'd be awkward. So, am I the idiot for not taking in my ex-husband's kid for Christmas? You are the idiot. You're well within your rights to refuse. You don't owe your ex-spouse anything. It's your holiday and you can celebrate it however you want. But you are still the idiot here. This child is a sick parent. She's only 5, and you have the chance to show kindness and embrace the true spirit of Christmas. Instead, you're choosing to be hard-nosed about it, and in doing so, making a lot of people's lives bleaker at a time when you could be making them brighter and more hopeful. I agree. If the sisters are close, then that should be more important. You're meant to love your kid more than you resent your ex. OP, if a father of a friend of your daughter presented you with this situation, what would you say? Would you have the friend over for Christmas, or would you keep it strictly in the family? Wow, that's emotional blackmail at its finest. You'll end up being the babysitter. You are not the idiot. There is nothing good about taking a young child and throwing her into an environment she doesn't know and isn't comfortable in, full of people who don't know her and don't want her there. These idiots are calling you heartless for not making the kid feel worse because her idiot father doesn't care about what's best for his kid. You'll ruin Christmas for everybody if you agree to this stupid request. The kid is young, she's going to be fine at home. You are not the Grinch because it's Christmas. You're under no obligation to babysit your ex's kid. There's no reason they can't celebrate Christmas, just the 3 of them. Or if he's worried that it's not going to be magical for his youngest daughter, ask his in-laws, aunts, uncles, etc. Just because he has no contact with his parents doesn't mean his daughter can't go to her mother's side or anyone else on his side. Not only that, but if his wife is starting cancer treatment, would her immune system not be compromised? And best to keep everyone in contact with her, or at least living in her house, away from people who, in all honesty, you don't know where they've been or who they've had contact with. These are exactly my thoughts. That child doesn't know you or your extended family, only your daughter. This could be her last Christmas with her mom, and he wants to take that away from her, even if it's just the 3 of them in pajamas eating cookies all day. He's the idiot. My wife and I have a baby girl. She's mostly a stay-at-home mom. She works 2.5 days a week and her sister watches the baby. I work full-time and go to school 1 day a week. We've always had an arrangement where she takes care of the household duties, cooking, cleaning, and now baby care, while I happily support her monetarily. Honestly, we're both living our dream life, and my wife does a spectacular job taking care of me and our little one. On the weekends, we share the baby duty. We usually make sure each of us gets alone time to do whatever we want. However, our girl has hit a bit of a sleep regression, waking up every 2 hours. Since my wife breastfeeds, she's always taken care of the baby full-time overnight. She's a light sleeper and unfortunately has insomnia, whereas I'm a deep sleeper and wouldn't wake up for baby cries anyway. Recently, my wife has been asking me to wake up with the baby both days on the weekend so she can get an extra hour of sleep. Baby wakes up around 7 a.m. I get the baby dressed and take over for that hour. But sometimes I want to be the one that gets to sleep in an extra hour. I brought this up to her and she says while she's happy to let me nap during the day, she really needs that hour because she can't nap as I can. We got into an argument about it, and she said I'm being very insensitive when I know she's exhausted and can't nap during the day and she struggles going back to sleep every time the baby wakes up. But I'm exhausted too. Work wears me out and school days are long, and sometimes I want the hour in the morning. I don't want to spend my off time napping. I want to play video games and chill out. I've gotten mixed opinions on who is in the wrong or if anyone is in the wrong. Am I the idiot for asking us to share mornings off for sleep? You are the idiot. If she's taking all the night duty because you don't wake up, then you get the morning duty when you do wake up so she can catch up on her lost sleep in the night. If you want a morning off, give her a night off. I'm never certain why people choose to have kids and then complain about how hard it is. Yeah, like, duh, being a parent is hard, but this is what you asked for. Once you choose to bring a life into this world, that child becomes your world. But video games? No. You are the idiot, OP. You can't have both nights and mornings, and your video game time might just have to suffer for a while. R.I.P. OP. She works part-time, takes care of the baby, does all the housework, does all the night feedings, can't sleep, but sure, you'd like an hour. So you're out of the house all week and you do what? Spend 1 hour a day helping to take care of your kid, and you like more time to play games? You have no idea what her day looks like, do you? Take 3 days off and send her on a mini vacay to sleep somewhere and see all the stuff that she does daily, on repeat. Not only is she working, but she's enabling OP to work by providing childcare for their joint child, which he would otherwise have to pay for. But no, he supports her monetarily. She's supporting you, idiot. If you, OP, didn't want to make sacrifices personally, physically, financially, emotionally, and mentally, then you should not have had a child. I hope you get a grip on this and sort out your priorities so that this baby has a healthy 18 years living with you. I, 34 female, have been married to my husband, 33, for 6 years now. We have 2 kids, a male preschooler and a female toddler. I come from money and also make about 10 times what my husband does. When we first got together, I noticed that his family had taken advantage of him financially. He's a very kind man and the perfect person to have as a partner and father, although to get around the whole greedy family thing, I offered to pay for everything when it came to us. House, living expenses, medical expenses, vacations, clothing, etc. Honestly, I wouldn't even mind if he wanted to be a stay-at-home dad, but he loves his job and I love to see him happy. Early on, some of his family tried to get money from me, but they backed off when I brought up a contract and a notary. I'm now considered that rich daughter-in-law who happens to be a cold witch, and honestly, I don't care. My husband's whole salary ends up going to his family, paying almost everything for his parents. Somehow one of his siblings is always in an emergency or a cousin needs help with their business, even though they're all firmly middle class with good jobs. Before anyone asks, when it is a true emergency, I always give money without expecting it to be paid back. Now to the situation. We're visiting his family for Thanksgiving. We thought it better to go a few days earlier. They live in a mountain town and it's gorgeous this time of year. I rented us a cabin and paid for 5 first-class tickets, mine, his, the kids and the nannies. We arrive at the airport and surprise, surprise, his sister just happens to be on the same flight. I called BS. It's obvious he told her when we would be going and she decided to get a ticket for the same flight. We greet her and then I hand the kids to the nanny and send her ahead to the lounge because I had a feeling about what was about to come. Then sister-in-law dared to ask me to upgrade her to first class so she could travel with her family. Kudos to my husband, he shut her down before I could. Then she asks us to switch her ticket with our nannies. I told her point blank that I wouldn't be doing that and that my nanny is needed to help with the kids. I'm useless on a plane because of nausea and the meds, and my husband can't realistically be expected to take care of 2 kids on his own. She starts complaining and making a scene. I turn around and start walking towards the lounge. My husband follows me about 10 minutes later. Apparently, he tried to pay for her ticket upgrade, but it was a full flight. So he tells me that he will be switching with her. Here's where I might be the idiot. I told him that he knows I can't help the nanny during the flight, and if he was going to leave the poor woman to her devices just because his sister can't live within her means, then this will be the last time I will be paying for his tickets ever again. He texted his sister to tell her that apparently he can't switch tickets with her, but he is pretty upset. So, am I the idiot? Edit. When I said my husband couldn't be expected to take care of the kids on his own, I meant logistically. 2 rows of 2 seats with a wide gap between the seats and between the rows. Each kid would need an adult to sit next to them. I am useless, I can't even open my eyes because of the meds, and I usually need someone to help me. We're both perfectly happy and capable of taking care of our kids on our own in normal circumstances. Not the idiot. You and your husband need to have a very candid conversation about his family and their expectations of him, because that's what it's become at this point. They expect him to pay for them in their day-to-day living, and bless his heart, he can't tell them no, but set boundaries for what he will do to support them. Maybe he doesn't give them financial assistance unless you both agree. If everyone has a job and makes a decent income, I don't understand why they depend on him to pay their bills. The sister is extremely entitled, expecting you to upgrade her to first class. Good on your husband for shutting her down initially, and bad on him for being willing to trade with her. I think he believes his family's love is conditional on him financially supporting them. Unless he's willing to find out, he won't be able to set boundaries. Yep, you touch on an important issue. Your husband is flirting with a crucial line. He sounds like a very kind and generous person, but it also sounds like he's crossing over that line into being an enabler. There's generosity, and then there's codependency. The difference between the two is healthy boundaries. He's not actually helping his family by giving. They haven't learned anything other than he's their ATM. Help, more often than not, is teaching people how to help themselves, not just providing everything for them all of the time. It might be time to insist that his family start learning how to help themselves. I, 18 female, had my first real job out of high school. I was working in a warehouse and I was going to apprentice as a parts technician. My dad helped me get the job. My mom hates that I don't have a girly job. She would constantly call and even show up there. I told her to please stop. That my boss didn't like her interruptions of my day. She would stop for a bit and then do it again. I finally blew my top and told her to leave me the heck alone at work. She went on Facebook and complained how I was an ingrate for not wanting to see my mom. A bunch of people started saying that I was being mean to my mom, that she meant well, and that she wasn't hurting me. Last week she showed up again. She tried to come in the back when I wouldn't come out to see her. My boss was done. I was fired. My dad says he will help me get another job, but I'm angry, so I went on Facebook and found every person who had called me mean and that said she wasn't hurting me. I spelled out why I got fired and I asked them to help me out with some money since her actions had cost me my job. Now they're suddenly turning on her, calling her overbearing and saying they didn't realize she was jeopardizing my employment, but they have yet to send any money. I don't really need it. I live with my dad and he says that as long as I'm in school or apprenticing, I don't need to pay for anything except my phone. My mom keeps calling and texting me, asking me to stop telling people that she got me fired, and that I'm embarrassing her by asking the people who supported her for money. I think I'm right about showing everyone who she is. My dad says that he's staying out of it. He said that the way she acts is the reason they got divorced. Not the idiot. Screw around and see. She got you fired. You told people the truth about what happened. I hope she's happy. When you get another job, I wouldn't tell her where. I'm sorry this happened to you. You'll have to find ways to manage her so she doesn't interfere with your job or future plans. This reeks of Mom intentionally sabotaging OP to force her to get a job Mom thinks is suitable as a girl. She will continue this for sure. It would have been great if the boss had told her Mom she was banned from the store rather than firing OP. Sounds like a bad boss, actually. Clearly, warning and removing the mother from the premises wasn't working, so at some point the boss had to fire what had become a hindrance to the work. A reminder, if her mother got hurt on the premises, she could still sue them for damages regardless of whether she was allowed there, like with the robber who was injured breaking into someone's house and sued them and won. Piece of advice, people are going to say go no contact, but I don't think that's right. Get a letter from your boss stating why you were fired, your mother's behaviour, and get a restraining order. She straight up stalked you at your work and got you fired. That is grounds for a restraining order. My girlfriend is super into hiking and we planned a trip to Cali that involved a hike in the Grand Canyon she always wanted to do. We did a hike the day before that was too intense for me and I'm not as fit as her. I finished but I couldn't go the other hike, aka her dream hike. It was also not meant to be done in one day and the rangers said it was hard to do in one day and not advised. She said she was confident she could do it, saying she'd hiked harder and she was very fit, but I just felt like she was discounting what the rangers said. I said I wasn't going and she said she would go alone, and I asked her to wait till tomorrow for me to recover. She said the weather report had a 30% chance of rain for tomorrow and that she wasn't going to give up on a bucket list hike, and if I still wanted to do it tomorrow, she would do it again with me. I got mad because I felt she was okay with abandoning me with nothing to do at the campsite, and I didn't want to talk to her that evening. She didn't seem to care and prepped for her hike. She finished it the next day, and I felt like she didn't care that I was too tired to hike and chose to go without me. To me, the people are more important than the activities, but to her, she wanted to finish the hike at all costs. You went on a trip to go on this specific hike, and only the day before realized you're not fit enough to go on said hike, and you expected her to abandon her dream now that it was right there in front of her? You are the idiot. Right? You should have looked up the map, its length, and how strenuous it was before even thinking of going on the trip. He also could have listened to his girlfriend one of the times she was talking about her dream hike. I doubt she left out those details. I thought maybe he was concerned about her hiking alone for safety reasons, but he's just cranky that she's not there to entertain him. Screw that noise. Hope he's been training all right. Training for the Windsor Olympics. Dude, I hate the outside, but if my husband had a hike he wanted to do with me, I would train like a lunatic for that, because, I love him. And then he's trying to frame it as people are more important than activities. She went for one day. It was just one day that he was without her, and to him, that's abandoning him. Jesus, I'm afraid of what will happen if she wants to have a spa weekend alone, or an evening out with her girlfriends. Abandonment, how dare she? She needs to stay home to keep him company at all times. Passion? A hobby? Sure, if he's also there. If not, forget it. This is just such controlling BS. She sounds like a really interesting person. On the other hand, you come across as a whiny, needy bore. Do better.